these two templates, and we will be using a couple of prompts, okay, so that you can make it your own. So at the end of the workshop, you have a resume that you are happy with. Okay, sounds good. Any doubts so far? Please feel free to jump in. Use this. There is this amazing, there's smiley at the center of this entire workshop, right? Like this one. Okay, let me try this. Okay, these things will make me more, make me know that you guys are around. Okay, so again, thank you so much. I'll jump right in. uh, and yes, it will also be good if you can, if you have any specific questions, that this is the thing that I'm suspecting with my resume, or this is a very big problem with my resume, please put it in the chat box, and I'll make sure that all your answers are answered by the end of the workshop. Okay, any doubts whatsoever, please put it in the chat box. If you have something right now, I can answer right away. All good? We good here? Okay, guys, let me just present the screens. Cool. So this is where we are. Yes, I've written a book, and that has got some amazing feedback. So let's begin right away. I think the most common mistake that most people do is they think that their resume is their autobiography. It is not. It is so not your autobiography. I cannot emphasize that how much 4-pager and 5-pager resumes I have seen. One may think that people won't go till 4 or 5 pages, but people have been very candid in telling me that I wanted to shortlist which companies reaches out to me. If they care to read through my resume, then I know that they really want to hire me. If you think that, and again, in the second sentence that they say, when I ask them how many calls have you been getting, they tell me that none so far. Okay, so you don't want to be that. Your resume is not your autobiography. It doesn't have to have everything that you have done in your professional career. Okay, you want to put it like a story, and I'll tell you what it is your sales pitch. Okay, it is why somebody should hire you. Okay, it is, you need to put it precisely those elements that will make that recruiter hire you, that will make them consider that you are perfect for the role. Okay, so if anybody here with more than 3 page of a resume, more than 3 page, please raise your hands. Anybody with more than 3 pages of resume? None? Cool. Cool, fine. Okay, some. Okay, and this often happens when we have had a long career. So for example, if somebody had a 15-year-old 15 have been working for 15 years, working for 20 years, that is when we end up making a very long resume. But you know what, when the recruiter asks you, they are mostly interested in in-depth understanding of your recent 2 years, 5 years at max. If you had a long career, okay, then the best that they want to know is if there are different domains that you have worked on. For example, in across 20 years, maybe you started with a software development, moved to product management, and had 3 jobs as software developers, and let's say another 3 jobs as product manager in different companies. Okay, the best thing to do in such cases is, instead of writing all the projects of all the companies for past 20 years, you can just reduce anything which is more than 10 years old to a single line, or maybe just an item that I worked here. No, they are not going to ask you the depth of the project that you worked 10 years ago. Okay, but you want to make sure that your most recent work is definitely stands out, because what happens is the attention is diluted. They end up seeing a lot of content and ignore everything that they see in the process. Okay, so I think if this resonates with you, then I would say that reduce your older jobs projects to maybe maximum one line, maybe just saying that I just worked in this domain, and use your professional summary instead to highlight that you have a very elaborate experience. For example, you can write it in the professional summary that 20 years of experience in tech, working across B2B, B2C, B2B SaaS, B2C, e-com, and fintech domains. Now, this suddenly amplifies the fact that you have had 20 years of experience, and also across so many domains. And we'll talk about the summary in a while, but I hope that brings some clarity to the fact that how can you reduce the size of resume. Any doubts here, please add it in the comment box, and I'll be happy to answer. Or if we are good, let's do a thumbs up. Okay, cool. The next one. Okay, but when you talk about ATS, right? ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. Now, when applicants are always specific to a particular job role. Okay, ATS, often, it is painted as if it's one generic bot of sorts that sees through your resume and finds what is good or bad. But very important element that people miss is ATS is always with respect to one specific one specific job role only. So, for example, the way ATS configures for a or the way ATS reads for a product manager role is very different from the way it reads for a VP product role. Okay, what it hunts for, what the bot looks for in resumes for a assistant product manager role is very different from the same bot that looks for a VP product role. So it is, you cannot have that my resume is ATS friendly. You have to make sure that it is compliant with all the ATS checks for one particular role as you move ahead in your career. Okay, if your previous, it's not just a format that we're talking about. People often confuse ATS with a format. There are some elements of formatting that will matter, and we will cover that, but it is not just the format. It's a lot about the content. Okay, so if the role has a different job description, APM has a different job description, VP product has different descriptions, both, the system, the bot will look at different resumes in different manner based on which job it is. So you have to make sure that your skills are matching the job description, your projects are matching the job description. Okay, and if you have done projects that are not matching the job description, then totally eliminate that. Now, one question that comes up here is, do I have to have a different resume for every JD? Not necessarily. And the answer is yes and no. The yes is, so, before you jump into editing your resume, spend 15 minutes going through all the job roles that are your dream jobs. Okay, identify 4 or 5 such roles on LinkedIn or Naukri or wherever you apply, and then read through them and look at what are they looking for. See, if you are, let's say, a 7-year experienced product manager, then you will see that all of those roles are asking for a specific type of things only. So you can totally bracket your resume for that particular job role. But let's say you have had experience in let's say e-com domain as well and fintech domain as well. Often what happens is, such niche domains do have a specific requirement for people who have worked in that domain. So for example, fintech, a product man, if your dream job is for a fintech position in a company which is, let's say, with say 8 years of experience, then they may say in the job description that people with past fintech experience will be preferred. So now what you can do is, you can have two versions of your resume. One that highlights that you have worked in fintech, and maybe the professional summary there highlights fintech as the first thing. But if there is a different, but you see that the B2B SaaS type of roles have a different type of requirement, and they're asking more of backend technologies and whether you work with APIs and stuff like that, then what you can do is, you can have a different professional summary around that. So you're not necessarily changing everything in your resume, you are just changing different summaries and maybe different skill set. Okay, and you have three versions of your resume saying that this is Aditi Chaturvedi underscore fintech, this is Aditi Chaturvedi underscore B2B SaaS, and this is Aditi Chaturvedi underscore ecom. And I may say that I've worked in all the three domains, but if now I have to apply in one particular domain, this is the resume that will suit the best. Okay, so again, yes and no, because you don't need to change everything end to end, but just having a different summary highlighting different aspects in the skills and in the summary will make sure that your resume is the answer to the job description. Okay, and any questions so far, guys? Happy to have a chat on those. We good here? uh, okay, okay. There are a couple of questions. Let me just have a look at those. Can we adapt the training to suit in our LinkedIn resume? Uh, when you say LinkedIn resume, Aaron, do you mean the auto-generated LinkedIn resume, or you're talking about the about section in your profile on LinkedIn? Aaron, are you here? About section. Yes, yes. You can totally do that. We'll just look in a brief while on how should you write your about section. okay, of LinkedIn. And it can you can totally, the only constraint is that when you're writing it in your resume, you will have more constraints around the space, okay, because you need to write a lot of things otherwise as well. But in the about section in LinkedIn, you have far more luxury to have a more elaborate about section. That's the only constraint. But apart from that, fundamentals about how you should write an about section is totally the same. Okay, I hope that answers your question. If not, please, uh, let me know if you have any follow up on that. Okay, cool. Now, yes, so we just discussed that you know you can have multiple stories. You can if you have 15 years of experience across multiple domains, you can say that you are a B2B expert, B2B SaaS expert, looking to looking to grow in this career. You can say that you have had strong e-com experience and you want to apply there, and things like that. Okay, now let's look at three different things. Once your resume is into the system, the same resume will be seen by the ATS bots. Okay, and the second will be the second user will be a corporate recruiter. The third one will be a hiring manager. Both of them, all three of them, will look at the same version of your resume. Okay, so you want to optimize your resume so that the bots, or it goes through the bots as well, it goes through the recruiter as well, it goes through the hiring manager as well. When I say go through the hiring manager, what it essentially means is when they have seen your resume, they have made some impression about you. Those impression is what they will be verifying during your interview. So for example, the first things first, ATS bot will have certain keywords that it will look for in your resume. Those keywords will be, so again, let me again take an uh, um, and let me know, if folks here are not necessarily from product background, if you can just, quickly, everybody can, if you can write in your roles, what is your current role, so that I know if I'm addressing everyone and not just product folks, that will be useful. So just so that I'm not covering only product, let's take an example of data engineer. So if you are applying for the role of a data engineer, then what there the ATS bot will look for certain skills in your resume which are related to the role of data engineer. Okay, but and a corporate recruiter, what they will look at is, so let's say you go through an ATS bot, the corporate recruiter will want to see that what is this person about. So if you again if you're a data engineer, you can say that, okay, this person has about 7 years of experience, worked in big corporate, so might have dealt with a lot of data, and this data could also be around privacy, and my client's requirement is that we want a person who has dealt with data which is sensitive in nature, so this person fits the bill. Okay, so that is how a recruiter looks at your profile. Okay, so ATS bots looks for keywords. Corporate recruiter tries to build a broad outline of what the candidate looks like. And the hiring manager, so let's say if the corporate recruiter pitches it like that, I've found an excellent candidate. This person has worked in big tech companies and has dealt with a lot of good data. He has an excellent resume. You should look at this. The hiring manager will want to make sure that have you actually worked on the big data problems in the big companies. Just because you have worked with a, let's say, a Microsoft or a Google, does not necessarily mean that you have worked on project that involved big data. You may be working on a very small project in a big company. Okay, so hiring manager wants to make sure that they want to verify all the claims that you have made in your resume. uh, okay, so this is what it looks like. uh, okay, I have some question. Product technical Azure, but not for looking for IoT, but looking for project management role. Okay. And product from ops function. Okay. Cool. I think then we are all on the same page. Okay. Sandeep, you had a question. Is about section a must in a CV? I would say yes. Yes. There is no, I mean, what I would want to understand from you is what is the hesitation in putting an about section? Is it the formatting that it will mess up my current formatting and I don't know how to put it, okay, without messing the current format, or is it like you don't want to, or there's something else that I'm missing? Okay, I would say that about section is like giving somebody a glasses to wear. Okay, so this is how you should see me. About section is like that. Okay, it's not. As I shared earlier, right? It's a sales pitch. Okay, you don't have to be humble in the sales pitch. Okay, this is how you want to. You are giving them a lens through which they can see you. You're giving them the specs. If they don't have the specs, they will have a blurry, understanding of what you are. But if they see you through those specs, they will have very clear words, a clear understanding of what you are. Okay, so about section is like a spec. Okay, you are giving them glasses to wear, that look me through these glasses, and you will find me up like a perfect fit. Okay, if there is any hesitation in around writing about section, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer that as well. What I've realized, I go through a lot of resumes, and I've coached a lot of people on how to write better resume. One interesting insight I'll share is that people have given so much time in making their current resume, okay, and editing that and polishing that, that whenever somebody asks them to make changes, it feels like a very daunting task to go back again, find that editable file, make those edits. They don't feel excited about the fact, okay, fine, I'll fix this mistake right away and get more calls. They feel more like, oh my god, I have to go back to that file again and make all those edits, and figure out all the formatting again. And this is what stops them. It's like, no, let it be. I'll just give my current one. Let me see what happens. And you're just, you may be giving away opportunities that could be yours. Okay, so if it is only about formatting, there are a couple of tips that we can discuss in this workshop itself, to make sure that formatting is not as much of a pain. But if there is any other conceptual disagreement with why you should not have an about section, please let me know.
Sure, they did not had any hesitation as such,
Huh.
but the fact that I've never had a about section ever in my resume since college, and always seen it in LinkedIn only. So that's why I asked, but seems like a brilliant idea to me.
Okay. So, see what happens in colleges, and yes, good that you raised this point. What happens in colleges? In college, everybody is a fresher. Everybody is at the same level. Okay, there is hardly anything that somebody can stand out with. In fact, the fact that colleges force everybody to have same resume format, they are they are trying to socialize everything. That everybody, nobody will stand out, everybody will fall into the same line. Let's see what companies pick you. If you're good enough, companies will pick you. Okay, but when you're out of college, okay, with even when you're making a first job switch after college, there also you're not just fighting your college mates anymore. There are thousands of candidates out there, and the one who stands out will have a higher probability of getting a call. Okay, so again, not having a about section in a college resume has a different reason to it, which is, one is, often people do not have enough projects to showcase. That's part one. I would strongly recommend that if somebody is in college, they should build a portfolio of micro projects, and it suddenly makes you so much better and so much of a desirable candidate in the eyes of an hiring manager if you have a lot of portfolio to showcase. So if you have done something worth mentioning in college, definitely have an about section. Nothing stops you from doing that. But once you're out of college, you should definitely have an about section. Okay, it is not as much of a harm for a fresher, but for an experienced person, it may be harming your profile.
Noted.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Irene, I didn't get your question. What is JTBD? JTBD. Job to be done. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, fine. My bad. Job to be done. Again, so as I said, spend 15-20 minutes reading through all the job descriptions that you think you would you want to get shortlisted for, and then see if all of them look the same to you. You think that if one resume can just and everything, they have the same skill set, ask, okay, nothing changes there in each of the job roles. If that's the case, fine, go ahead and have one resume. And again, if you have one editable copy ready with you, and you can, if you see that there are diverse domain, and my experience can be highlighted very differently, then go ahead and do that. And yes, once you have, if you have just edited your resume enough without a lot of frustration, this will not look as much of a daunting task. Okay, so jobs to be done. Yes, it is. So you don't have to keep formatting it. Okay, as I said, if all versions of your resume should have a skill section, should have an about section. The content of that about section and skill section can change based on the different group of roles that you are applying for. It is totally worth your time. It's totally worth your time. Believe me. Okay. Hmm. So again, we discussed this, that with an ATS bot, you're the same resume. The goal should be to pass through the filters. From a corporate world, you want a little more extra attention. Okay, so again, as I said, having a summary helps that. There is another one, debatable topic, but I am of the opinion that having a headshot in a resume only gives you few more seconds from the recruiter. So typically speaking, a recruiter will spend 5 seconds scanning your resume, only 5 seconds, believe me. Okay, but if you have a photo there, then you may get 10 seconds. You will still not get a minute or 10 minutes or something like that, but you will get few more seconds. Okay, so yeah, a photo helps there. But if you're not comfortable with adding a photo for whatever reason, perfectly fine. It's not a mandatory thing. As I said, from 5 seconds, if you think that I'll do without that, perfectly. It's not a mandate anywhere. Okay, but my observation, when I see 100 different profiles and when I see recruiters shortlisting those profiles, I have seen this. Okay, and don't write anything that you cannot convince the hiring manager about. Don't add any skill that you cannot add that you cannot convince the hiring manager about. I'll give you an example. So we had this candidate for one of the AIML positions, and this person's entire resume, the certifications, the job done was around data analysis and making those AI models and stuff like that. And he even had a certification to prove that they have done it. When we grilled a little further to that person, they're like, no, this was a very brief course that I did. It was like a 2-week project that I made. It was very simple. I don't have that much depth. And if you look at the resume, if you again don't scan through the resume, all you could read is data, AI, ML, data. So there were no generic projects. They were all AI, ML, data projects. But when you probe that person further, they would talk about entirely different projects that are not even part of their resume. Okay, so yeah, again, don't add anything in your resume that's not true, and that you cannot convince the hiring manager about. Okay, now let's do a very simple we'll do a very simple activity very quickly. Okay, definitely add a skill section. So people had doubts about section.
Can I take 2 minutes?
Sure, please go ahead.
Actually, when we go to Naukri or LinkedIn, they hardly mention which level of that job is. They just simply have this entry level, mid senior level, or sometimes not even that is mentioned. And
Mhm.
we can see that applications that have been put for the job. So we can see people who are fresh, starters, people who are senior management, or people who are mid seniors. Everyone applying for that.
Hmm.
So, in that herd of people, some people may be even higher experience than us.
Huh.
Then, how does the recruiter match our resume, and how do we fit in
Correct,
there?
correct, correct. See, there is no merit. See, let me just take a minute or two to understand the recruiters' incentives while they're hiring for any profile. Okay, recruiters get paid when when the candidate that they have sourced. By sourcing, I mean that they have figured out that you are a good fit. When you get hired, that's how broadly this industry works. They get paid when you get selected and you have spent some time in the organization as well. Okay, so they're very aligned to make sure that they only work on the candidates who fit the requirement. So for example, if see, from a candidate's perspective, you may believe that if this role requires 5 years of experience, then a person with 10 years of experience will be able to do this better. Okay, but you need to understand that uh, recruiters have recruiters have experience that a person with 10 years of experience will not take a role that, even if they have applied because they may be desperate right now, they will not there's a good chance that they'll not get this particular role. Okay, because they may leave very soon. Okay, so recruiters are looking for an overall fitment, that how likely are you to join this role, to first of all clear all the rounds and join the position as well, and not leave immediately after you have joined. Okay, so when they look at these different profiles, when they look at a fresher applying for a 5 years of experience of job and a 15 years of experience person applying for 5 years of job, they know that this profile, this candidate is not worth my time, because they will definitely not get shortlisted. Even if they get shortlisted and go through the interview rounds, they will not stick around for long, because you don't want to be downplayed like this. Especially that will not be your ultimate job choice. You will continue to look for other, as a person who has as a 15-year-old experience, 15 years of experience person getting a 5-year experience while a job, you may in all likelihood look for other roles that are more suitable for your for your experience. So again, don't be worried about lot about the number of clients applying for a particular role. You can, and because you can also not control that. What you can only control is make sure that you come across as a perfect candidate for that particular job role. Okay, so don't be overwhelmed by okay, so many people have applied. The person who is a good fit only will go through. Okay, that is how the systems are designed. Okay, so, and you, again, you cannot control that as well. So even if you bother about it, there's nothing that you can do so much. You are better off figuring out how can you come across as the best candidate for this particular role. Does that make sense?
Yes, Aditi, that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you for
Okay.
answering.
So I think one thing, I think if you are on your desktops, which I hope you are, look for any job that you think is your dream job. Okay, go to LinkedIn and search for a job that you are really interested in, and look for skills that are asked in that. And then you should go to your resume, see if your skills are searchable in that. And let's use a very simple check. Okay, always save your resume in a PDF format. Don't send doc format resumes, not because they are not readable or anything like that. The formatting gets really messed up in different systems. Okay, PDF formatting typically stays stagnant. Maybe only mobile bubble mode or air mode, something like that messes it. But broadly speaking, your PDF formatting makes sure that people are getting the resume exactly as you intended it to be. So don't share doc formats, share only PDF. Now when you're submitting a PDF, just do a control F. For example, if you want to be searched for agile methodologies, which is a very common thing for project management, product management. So if your job description has the skill that the person candidate should have worked with in agile environment, search for agile in your resume. Do a control F in your PDF version and search for agile. If you get the word agile in your resume, then when a recruiter searches for this, your resume will be found. Am I clear, guys? Any questions here? Please feel free to ask. Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down, anything? Okay. Okay, so if you can do that right away, and you can tell me that I think this is what I was searching for in my resume and I could not find. We can talk about why would your resume not be shortlisted for this job description. So it's very important for you to be able to figure out where the problem is. Okay, so this is one very straightforward way. Go to your job description, read through that. Okay, and then search for one particular skill in your resume. Do a control F in your PDF format of your resume, and then if you find that, that you will get you will pass through the ATS bot. Okay, then it's up to the recruiter and the recruiter to take you through, but you will definitely pass through the bot. Okay, again, make skills to be separate. So if you want to go through the corporate recruiter, make sure that you have a separate skill section. I recently got this interesting question, that I think I have 10-12 years of experience, do I still need to mention skills? Of course. Okay, because as you may believe that after 12 years people do not have skills, people do not need to have a skill section. Your work speaks for itself. No, your work does not speak for itself. You have to speak for your work. So and ATS are not sophisticated enough yet to figure out that this is if this person has done a end-to-end project to deliver a client worth 100 million, which was used by let's say 2 million users daily. Okay, they shipped let's say a end-to-end project management system. Okay, or let's say CRM, which was $100 million client and used by 2 million users on a daily basis. It will not be able to decipher what skills were applied to execute such a massive success. Okay, so please do not assume that your skills are evident from the projects you have done. The fundamental thing is you're assuming that the recruiter will read through your resume. They do not. In 5 seconds, they are not going to read through your resume at all. If there's any person who reads through your resume, it's your hiring manager. Okay, so when you write for the hiring manager. For a recruiter, make sure it is scannable, not readable. Of course, if they want to read, yes, they should be able to read it, but make sure that it is scannable. So that's why having a separate skill section makes the life very, very easy for the recruiter, and you have higher chances of making through the recruiter. Okay. Are there any questions that I'm missing? Mm. Correct, Arya.
Aditi, I have a question on this one.
Yes, please.
Point taken that we should have a skill section, right? That's there. Where should you put your skill section? Should you put it as a part of your name under the name because now you really want to highlight your skills,
Perfect.
or do you want to go it all the way down to the footer of the page?
Perfect. Now here comes couple of constraints around formatting. Okay, so there is the reason I'm asking you to add a skill section is when you do a control F in your resume, you want to make sure that agile stands somewhere. Okay, it is perfectly fine if you do it along with the projects. It's also okay if you do it on the top. Bottom is not the most desirable place, but if for whatever reason your formatting does not allow you to put it somewhere there, it is also okay. The most it's like the rejection. Let's get past the rejection criteria, which is not having agile in my resume. Once you do that, even if it is at the bottom, it's perfectly fine, because recruiter will be scanning for where can I find this person's skills. If they find at the bottom, fine. It will be easier for them to find it on the top. Okay, even better if with every section. So if you look at one of the resume templates that I've shared, there under every job, every job I have written what skills were used in this particular role. Okay, that's also a perfectly fine thing to do. Okay, I've added a separate skill section. I've also added that what skills were used in each role. So again, here are more formatting constraints. Not having is definitely, definitely don't do that. Definitely have it somewhere. Worst case scenario, have it at the bottom if formatting doesn't allow for it. But it is always good to have it, somewhere more discoverable for the recruiter. Okay, having at the bottom will get you past the ATS bots, but having at the bottom may create some problems when it comes to the recruiter looking at it. Okay, but again, it is still better than not having it at all. Does that answer your question, Sumit? Okay, cool. Great. Mm. Yes, so I think we may be getting okay. We have not yet started the workshop, but let's just, I think, couple of two, 3 points here that you need to simplify it. Don't add a lot of jargons. For example, I cannot emphasize how many resumes read like they are trying to write a. It's like reading Wikipedia versus scanning Google. Okay, Wikipedia is only read. You want to make sure that your resume is not a Wikipedia to the to the recruiter or the hiring manager. Okay, Wikipedia has all the content. Okay, it is oriented for people who are who will read through the details. But how many of or I'll give you even better example. How many of you have ever read a research paper ever? End-to-end research paper, 10 pages. Anybody here? Oh, cool. How was it? How was the experience? Do you want to do more of it? Is it fun to read through read through research papers, especially if it's your job? Okay, so people it's like if you make your resume like a like a research paper, hiring the recruiter is doing it for a living. They are not interested in reading research papers. Okay, they want to again scan and move on. Okay, so don't flowery language like revolutionize something like or all the don't use convoluted words. Keep it simple, keep it easy to keep it data oriented. Make sure that you present your impact in every bullet point. Okay, and make sure that that every bullet point speaks of the impact that you have had in your role. Okay, it is not necessary for you to have 10 bullet points for every work that you have done. You can they are not asking for, again, entire biography of everything that you did in your last 5 years of your life professionally. But what they want to know is, here are three things or here are three projects that you can share to make sure that you come across as a qualified candidate, you come across as a person who is fit to do the role. Okay, now this is an interesting part. If anybody who has not paid any attention in this workshop so far, here are next three slides, where it will get the most spicy. This is how the recruiter see you if you are applying on LinkedIn. Okay, your photo is visible, your name is visible, your title is visible here, your location is visible, you see hospital and healthcare, you see telecommunications. Okay, you see experience, you see education, and you see spotlights. Three roles held at company, one connection. Okay, so whatever profile you're adding, this is how it is presented to the candidate. Oh, sorry, presented to the recruiter. This recruiter on the bottom left has search is looking to hire data engineers, so she has searched for the job title data engineer. If you are using fancy titles in your resume, or even in your LinkedIn profile, okay, let's say, so make sure they are not getting shortlisted. Okay, if you are a data engineer, okay, let's not get any creative with job titles. Let's look for job titles that are understood by everybody. Okay, again, as I said, it's not your out of bracket. People are not interested in Aditi Chaturvedi. People are interested in whether they are interested in finding somebody who can lead their B2B product. Okay, Aditi could be that person, could not be that person. Okay, they are not interested in what Aditi Chaturvedi has to offer. Okay, so she looked for job titles, she searched for location. Now, just by job titles, she got certain profiles. Okay, there are 344 results here. Now she'll go through all different profiles, and this is what your detail section looks like. So this is the detail section of the first candidate. Now here, if you see, she was looking for Python, PySpark, Tableau, Hadoop, AWS, and Azure. Okay, the couple of these keywords were in the job description that she got for data engineer. So just to give you more context, she was hiring for data engineer in Pinterest. Okay, so she wanted to look for the people who will be fit for this role. So yes, he wanted to make sure that people are using these. So this candidate will definitely stand out because first, the things are matching. There is something. If she had any preference for how uh, how long they have stayed in one particular position, so she'll try to decipher it from this, and will choose to either move to the next profile, or shortlist this and then move to the next one. Okay, I'll show you. So that was for LinkedIn. Indeed is no different. Okay. So in Indeed, again, if you look at the top, limit search to the first line in the screen, job title, skills, companies, and field of study. Okay. So this person was looking for network engineer. Now all the network engineers are listed here. Interesting part here is a photo is not there, but yes, they are looking for network engineer, stuff like that. Okay, and they have some details here. If they were to add skills, okay, he can also add skills. So if your skills is not given in your resume, so again, the best is if you're adding it in your LinkedIn, or if you're adding it in your Indeed profile, or Naukri profile, or wherever. If you're not adding it anywhere, then in resume you definitely need to have a skill section. How in the world are you going to get seen when they search for a network engineer if your title does not have network engineer, and there is no skill that you want to highlight as per the job description. Okay, let's look at one more. In India, we use Naukri a lot. Again, you see the top one, a requirement you are hiring for. Okay, any keywords, they will look for skills, they will look for designation. You don't want to take a chance with your designation and your skills. Make sure that they're explicitly, very simply written in your resume. If you are writing senior PM, you are better off writing senior product manager than PM. Okay, again, not saying that your profiles you will not get any calls if you write senior PM, but your probability increases if you write more explicit content that is searchable. So control F for product in your resume, and see if there are enough product manager, if product related titles there. Okay, guys, any questions so far? When I was When I was looking at this, I was blown away that more people need to know that how are they seen by recruiters.
Aditi, I have a question. Some JDs will mention that okay, the experience required is 10 years, 8 to 10 years. Okay,
Hmm.
so should a person with 12 years experience apply for that, or should refrain from applying for that because it will
See,
simply waste time?
good question. And see, I'd say that it is more about a range. For example, if you are if the usually what they write is 8 to 10 years of experience. Okay,
Hmm.
a person with 12 years of experience can definitely apply, and I would say that do apply for that. But you should, when you are if you go through the different phases, make sure that you check at the end that what does a 12-year experienced person within your organization, hold the title for. Okay, so that that are you nobody is nobody is giving you a lower position than what you deserve. Okay, so I would say that for eight to, because after certain years of experience, the lines are very blurry about how many years. So 0 to 10, there's a very different type of segmentation you have. So, and it also depends on what's the what is the uh, growth roadmap for different companies. So many companies put all 0 to 3 in one. Some companies say that 0 to 1 is very different, 1 to 3 is very different. Okay, so I would say that from for 10 years of experience, 12 years should be you should go for it, but make sure that at the end of it, you want to confirm that do person with the 12 years of experience have a different designation, have a different title, or they have a different salaries, etc. Because you have that.
And
You have
also
the question.
some JD is just mentioning that mid senior level. So how do we know that it is for a 10 years or a 12 years or a
Typically, they
15
will
years?
write it in the details in requirements. They often so I am honestly, it will be helpful if you can give me one or two examples like this, because what I've seen is when they write mid to senior position, they often write in the bottom that we are looking at 3+ years of experience in X and this much of experience in Y. Okay, all the all product manager job I have found this. But if you want me, for a particular example, please share the job role with me, and I can tell you that. And typically speaking, mid to senior means 5 to 10 of sorts. Okay, that's a fair surrogate to know. Okay.
Okay, Aditi. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question, guys? Did you find this interesting? This one, how people look at your resume. Cool. Mm, great, guys. Okay, so we talked about titles, we talked about bullet points. Now let's do the workshop. Okay, so
Aditi, just
uh,
one quick
uh,
question before we move on to the
uh,
workshop. So the hiring process might be the similar that first ATS, then we have the second person, and then we have the hiring manager in the queue. But is the process as stringent for all the companies, or it might be different across? For example, startups might be doing it differently, right? So when we make the resume, do we keep in mind about how we articulate what we're doing as per the level or the maturity of the company? Like for startups differently, or for mature company differently,
okay.
MNCs differently.
Okay. So let's say, I think if I've understood this correctly, Sandeep, what you mean is that in startups, maybe the recruiter may not exist, and you may have the hiring manager directly looking at your profile. Is that correct?
Uh, so at let's say Facebook, if Facebook is hiring, right, the
Hmm.
hiring manager must have had like 10 years of experience hiring itself. But
Hmm.
if a person is applying at a company where the employee base is itself 50 to 100 employees, the
Hmm.
hiring person may not be that
Correct.
experienced itself,
Correct. Possible.
right? So do we keep that in account as well while applying at
See, again,
the?
I'll see. You will have, as I shared earlier, your same resume will go through the different stages. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's understand how does the experience level of the hiring manager define what should you add in your resume. Okay, so again, in both the cases, what they want to know, what a hiring manager wants to know is what is that they should probe you on. Okay, how do I make sure that this is a resume, this is some information that I have about the candidate, and these are the skills that I want to verify whether this person has or not. Okay, so your resume should be, I would say, write it for I don't think there is any difference in how you should write it for a 3 years person versus a 10-year person. Again, if you think that a person expert in the fintech industry would be acquainted with these, jargons around fintech, and I should add that, but a person with 3 years of experience in fintech will not know about it, drop the jargons. Totally drop the jargons. You do not want anything. You do not want to put it to chance. You don't want to say that a experienced person, a matured person will understand this, but a not so mature person will not understand this, because always assume that recruiter is not the domain expert at all. Okay, the same recruiters hires for data engineer also, will hire for product manager also, will hire for a technical program manager also. Okay, so the recruiter is definitely a novice here, so you want to make sure that in any case your you know your work is understood broadly. Okay, and understood broadly, sometimes people feel that they will have to dumb down their work. You don't have to dumb down your work. Simplifying does not mean dumbing down.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, so there are ways in which you can make your resume simple but not dumb. Do you understand?
Correct. So in most of the cases, the hiring manager is the person for which the person is applying the role. For example, if I'm applying for a APM role, in most of the cases, the hiring manager will be a PM or a PM2. Is that correct?
Possible, possible. But,
Uh,
but many companies, you know what? Many companies also have a peer round. Or even, so for example, even if with a 13 years of experience, I know cases where, and these are established companies, the first round is often with a person with 5 years of experience, even for a maybe a director product role. Okay, and they're like, we want to know that how you work with different people, how you talk to different people. Okay, so don't so after a certain yeah, when you are early in your career, everybody will be senior to you, but after 10 years of experience or 13 years of experience, there will be cases where somebody junior to you is also taking your interview, and that should be fine with you.
oh,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
it's not like they cannot judge you, they cannot assess you, they will not be able to figure out your skills. The simple thing is they are checking whether you, and they are not the final decision maker in most cases. Those are not the final decision maker, but they're definitely a part of the team that makes the hiring decisions. So for example, when all five of the interviewers who have assessed you independently sit together, this person interview will also count. Okay, I know for companies like Google, where the person, this person was already part of Google. Okay, her boss later was applying to Google, and they were asked to she was given the assignment to have taken interview of this. No, no, because she had a past, she knew that this is my ex boss. So then the choice between the person declines or does not decline, but it is not uncommon for people in junior roles or not so senior roles to also take interviewers for senior positions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Understood. Mm.
okay, so again, coming from a resume perspective, you don't have to dumb it down. Okay, but you definitely need to simplify it. Using jargons is no excuse that I did some complex thing there that that two lines cannot explain. Please simplify. Okay, simplify that a smart person can understand. Smart person as in a class 12 person